What are GMOs?
First of all, GMO stands for Genetically Modified Organisms.
A genetically modified organism is any organism whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering techniques.
For example, ordinary rice to golden rice. Golden rice is genetically modified to produce beta-carotene, which contains vitamin A that can improve our eyesight and immune systems.
And typical size salmons into much larger salmons. Mice are given the ability to glow in the dark. They are also called fluorescent mice. They are made to indicate whether a tumor is cancerous or not.
However, there are those who believe GMOs can negatively impact our health, but there has not been any evidence as to whether such claims are true.
So, are GMOs good or bad?
The overall purpose of why scientists and practitioners genetically modify organisms is to increase the production of resources, such as crops for food, and to develop a better quality outcome.
For example, plants are modified to be resistant to pests and diseases, and some are given the ability to give out poison to get rid of insects, which reduces the need to purchase more pesticides.
GMO crops are also engineered to produce higher yields from the same croplands, while conserving energy, soil, and water, providing a lesser impact on the environment.
In fact, the practice of genetically modifying organisms is not recent. This process has been practiced for decades, existing for almost 50 years now. Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen made the first genetically modified organism in 1973.
1974. The first genetically modified animal.
1986. The first genetic engineered vaccine for hepatitis B.
1992, where the first flavor-saver tomato was introduced.
And so on.
But what has this method of genetically modifying organisms done to raise such conflicts?
This scene occurred in the Philippines, specifically in Bicol, where protesters aggressively ripped out the crops of golden rice, a genetically modified rice. It was during when they were introducing GMOs to that region, and those crops were in for trial.
The Department of Agriculture informed them that it benefits our health and it provides vitamin A, which is good for consumers with deficiencies. But the citizens thought that instead of it being a help to our bodies, it could bring us to suffer more.
Why do people oppose GMOs when it is a fact that they improve our health?
People are afraid of trying something new. They fear what they don't understand.
This is the issue. The lack of knowledge in biology makes people vulnerable to misconceptions and misinformation.
The next section of this video are perspectives from experts that we were able to interview. Through listening to their impressions, we will be able to learn more about GMOs and their significance.
Good day! I am a graduate of BS Biology, currently a medical student, and I am pro-GMO. Experiences of farmers from developing countries, such as the Philippines, using genetically modified crops clearly show that they benefit from this technology and that they are directly affected. Just by picking a product off the shelf, there are secondary benefits that we consumers are not even aware of, such as lower cost, less soil erosion, and less pesticide application. In the long run, these can improve health outcomes and provide economic benefits in a very cost-effective way, especially in developing countries.
GMOs. There's a lot of negative opinions surrounding it because a lot of people think since they're lab-made and unnatural, they're already automatically bad for us in the environment. Being too cautious about them or having a readily negative opinion about them is also bad, since GMOs are made so that crops can be healthier, more disease resistant, and also produce more resources. So while it can become dangerous if left unattended, GMOs in itself is something that is necessary for progress. I think since we're already a fast developing world, we need to provide resources for everyone that is both accessible and healthy. Since in the end, as long as they pass the safety checks and are managed properly, GMOs can be good for us.
Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs for short, is an important milestone in science, without which we would have problems in agriculture, medicine, and even daily life. In medicine, genetic engineering is used to produce vaccines that will combat COVID-19 and end this pandemic as soon as possible. It is important to note, however, that as is with everything in life, it is paramount that these technologies are kept from bad people. It is important that the correct measures are kept in place to keep us all safe.
Hi, I am Patricia Alcos and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in molecular biology and biotechnology here in the Philippines. So given my background, of course, I would say yes to genetically modified organisms or GMOs. They are modified in such a way that they produce their own pesticide by expressing a specific toxin that affects pests. So this toxin comes from Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a soil bacterium and is abbreviated as BT. So you might hear of BT corn and BT eggplant. So for this to work, the toxin needs to be activated by a specific enzyme and alkaline gut conditions found in pests. So there really is no need to worry about the toxin affecting human health since we don't have the enzyme nor the alkaline conditions needed to activate it.
We selected also the product first the quality and the price and cost and actually the organic food definitely different. The difference between both of them, the organic taste is good, quality is good because no any chemical is going on when they're growing. Different than the non-organic, it is a chemical there to change the shape and color and the smell.
My personal take on this is I think there's a significant need for people globally to be educated. With people like me who are not paying attention, we might already be consuming goods and products that are considered GMOs, but we are not aware of that. So massive education for people, especially for the young ones. So there should be the spread of awareness in schools, so people, because everyone is affected in this regardless of your age, they should be informed about what are these products that are available out there in their grocery stores, in the supermarkets, that are GMOs, and how could you detect one, and how could you tell if it's a GMO or not. Organic products or organic goods, what do we really mean by that, and how is it different from GMO? Or for business strategy, they're just using organic feature of a product so that they can sell it in a more or in a much higher price. But then actually, in fairness to GMO, which some articles that I have read, that GMOs are really not that lacking in terms of nutrients or significantly lacking compared to organic products. So those claims that GMO might be harming our health because they are modified and they are not organic, there's some weakness in that argument. So if that should not be consumed by people, then why governments around the world, why Food and Drug Authority around the world are just approving these GMOs, and then we are consuming them right now? One thing that I can say about GMO, I think when they started to devise and they started to go for GMO experiments, and eventually they are using this now as usual, as normal, because the business and governments are just accepting it. I think they're able to think of this innovation because they want to address a problem. And what I see here is the problem that they would like to address will be scarcity of food, because of the scarcity of space or resources, because of the developments that's happening in the world now. So because of many of the agricultural lands, many of the farmlands are already converted to buildings, converted to certain infrastructures for certain reason, then countries now are running out of resources, or those factors or those resources that are needed in food production. So GMO, which is about enhancing production by producing more with less space or with less resources, I think this is a solution to the problem.